They say America is too big to feel lonely in, but I've never felt smaller than I did the night I met him. It was a late autumn evening in Boston, the kind where the air tastes like burnt coffee and wet leaves. The city hummed, traffic lights blinking, distant sirens wailing somewhere down Tremont Street. I had just left my shift at the diner, still smelling faintly of fries and regret. And then, there he was. He was standing under the flickering sign of a small bookstore, trying to light a cigarette against the wind. The flame kept dying, but he kept trying, stubborn, focused, beautiful in a way that didn't feel fair. I almost walked past him, almost, but then he looked up and smiled, that kind of smile that makes you forget who you are for a second. "Need an umbrella?" he asked, holding one out. It was bright red, too bright for the gray sky. "I don't take things from strangers," I said. He laughed, the kind of laugh that carried warmth. "Then let's stop being strangers." That's how I met Liam Brooks, a musician from New Orleans, in town for a gig he didn't really care about. He told me he played guitar at a bar in Cambridge, and that if I came, he'd dedicate a song to me. I didn't believe him, but I went anyway. That night, he sang a song that felt like it had been written just for me, about rain and strangers and second chances. I remember the way the lights hit his face, the way the crowd faded into static, and how my heart betrayed me with every beat. I knew. I was in trouble. We started seeing each other every day after that. Coffee at Dunkin' Donuts before sunrise, walks along the Charles River in the evening. He told me he wanted to record an album about real love, not the kind that sells, but the kind that hurts. And he found his muse in me. We were reckless. We drove up the coast to Maine at 2 a.m. just to see the ocean before dawn. We danced on rooftops, screamed at the stars, argued about everything, politics, music, the meaning of forever. But love like that, it burns fast. The first crack came when he got the call. A record label in Los Angeles wanted him. His dream, my nightmare. He said he'd only be gone a few weeks. Weeks turned to months. Calls got shorter, texts turned colder. I told myself not to care, that I had my own life, my own dreams. But at night, I'd listen to his old songs on repeat, pretending he still meant every word. Then one evening, I saw his face on Rolling Stone's website, smiling beside another woman, a singer, younger, famous. The caption read, "The new power couple of American folk." I couldn't breathe. I sent him one message. "Guess the rain finally stopped for you?" He didn't reply. Months passed. The city moved on, but I couldn't. Every street corner still echoed with his voice. Every song on the radio felt like a ghost. Then one night, almost a year later, there was a knock on my apartment door. It was raining, hard, and there he was, standing in that same red umbrella, soaked, shaking. I lost everything. He told me the label dropped him, that the girl left, that he hadn't written a song in months. He said he couldn't breathe anywhere that didn't remind me of me. I wanted to slam the door. I wanted to scream at him for every sleepless night, every unanswered call. But instead, I just cried. He stayed the night. We talked until sunrise. It felt like old times. Dangerous, beautiful, fragile. For a few months, we tried again. He promised me a simpler life, one without fame, without lies. We moved into a small apartment in Brooklyn, where the trains rattled the windows and the city never slept. For a while, it worked. He found a part-time gig teaching guitar, and I started writing again. Short stories, essays, anything that helped me make sense of us. But then, the coughing started. At first, it was nothing. Just late nights, too much coffee, too little rest. Then the hospital visits began, the tests, the waiting rooms filled with people who looked too young to be that sick. Liam had lung cancer. Stage 3. I used to sing to breathe, he said. Now, breathing hurts. I became his caretaker, his nurse, his anchor. Watching him fade felt like drowning with my eyes open. The city lights blurred through tears I never learned to stop. And still, he played, even when his voice cracked, even when his hands trembled. One night, he asked me to record him. So people remember I tried, he said. He played a song I'd never heard before. It was called The Day We Forgot the Rain. Halfway through, he started coughing, blood on his lips, but he kept singing. God, he kept singing. That was the last time he ever played. He passed away 3 weeks later, on a quiet Sunday morning. The doctor said he went peacefully. But I know better. He fought till the end. At the funeral, I found a letter in his guitar case. It was addressed to me. You were the only real thing in a life built on noise. If heaven has an open mic, I'll be waiting for your favorite song. Don't stop walking in the rain. That's where we live forever. 2 years have passed. I live in Seattle now, where it rains more often than it doesn't. I run a small cafe near Pike Press Market. Sometimes musicians play here. New faces, new dreams. But every time it rains, I still hear his song through the window. And sometimes, I still leave a red umbrella outside, just in case someone needs it. Because maybe love isn't about the people who stay. Maybe it's about the ones who teach you how to keep walking, even after the storm. If you've ever lost someone who changed you, if you've ever loved and lost and loved again, remember this: love doesn't disappear. It echoes. And if you listen closely enough, you can still hear it, somewhere between the thunder and the rain. Thank you for listening. If this story found you tonight, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there, another heart needs to hear it too.